time with the children or the wife, And investors are always flogging the entrepreneur for higher returns, higher revenue. And also the government honestly never leaves a chance to skin. Wherever there's a tax or this or that, they will always cover you. So hearing good things from you about an entrepreneur is very encouraging. So really thanks for that. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, mostly gentlemen I see here, I'm really honored and pleased to be here with you, and thanks for taking the time. I know all of you would have busy lives, so really appreciate that. And as you see, I don't have a presentation, or I have no notes with me, because I thought rather than shooting from the hip or the lip, I would talk to you, all of you, straight from the heart. And just before coming here, Ajit and I were sitting having a coffee, and we decided that we'll divide the session into 3 parts. I will first talk for maybe 10-15 minutes and take you through my journey, how I started and where we are today. And then Ajit wants to ask me some questions and bugger my happiness. And then we leave it open to you, so you can also bugger me, right, by asking more questions. So that's the plan. Okay. Just to give you an idea, as Ajit said, I run this company called Live Media, and I hope some of you would have heard about it or seen it. We are a digital out-of-home media company, and what we do is best explained through an example. If you go to any public place, you go to a restaurant, a gym, a club, a hospital, you would see these LCD TVs there running some ads and some contents. So that's the industry which we belong to. I started this company around 7 years back in 2006, and prior to that I spent around 18 years in the telecom sector, both in India and overseas. I was with Motorola for a reasonable time and joined Motorola as one of their first employees in India, responsible for the mobile telephony business. So spent time building many of the networks that we use today. So that was a great learning. And in a way, it was a startup in India, because Motorola, though a very big company outside, was just starting up in India. So, and once, so from around 93, 94 till 1999, I was with Motorola. And by that time, the mobile telephony had kind of got established in India. So the next thing that was coming was the internet. And at that time, Nortel Worldwide was playing a very active role on the internet side and wasn't present in India, so I got hired to start India operations for Nortel. And that was a great journey again. We kind of spent a lot of time building up the internet infrastructure, and also the wireless. You would have heard after GSM, CDMA came in, so Nortel was a leader in that, and then all the colored pipes that you see running across the country, the transmission systems for carrying all the data and all the optical systems. So that also we kind of built. And then in 2006, I decided to leave Nortel and start Live Media. And when I was kind of thinking about it, a lot of my friends came to me and said, are you mad? You're leaving I was heading Nortel at that time, that you're leaving this job, and it was really a fairly good job actually, and wanting to plunge into something that you don't know. The question was, are you mad? And my answer was, yes, I'm mad, because if you want to be an entrepreneur, you do need to have some madness, because otherwise you will keep thinking about it, but you will never take the ultimate step. Like in Hindi they say, you need to have a janoon, right? Unless you have that, you will never be able to, jump. So with that, I kind of started Live Media. And Live Media really was built around an observation. So I had spent all these years in technology, and to some extent I was, kind of full of technology, was getting bored with technology, because all we were doing is dealing with hard algorithms, cold algorithms, so here I was saying, okay, I want to do something different, something new, something which, emotionally is connected to people. And so we had an observation, and this observation was that over the last 5, 10, 15 years, we observed that people's lifestyles are changing. And as a result of that, people were spending less time at home and more outside. And outside in places like coffee shops, clubs, gyms, salons, offices, where all of us work longer and harder, and even hospitals. Sometime back, going to a hospital meant gloom and doom. But today, if you go, there's a nice five-star-ish cafe there. You can sit there, have a coffee. You don't mind sitting there. So in all these places, we saw people kind of migrating and spending more time. Whereas at the same time, we looked at conventional media, we looked at television, we looked at press, and we figured out they are designed for consumption at home. We all watch television when we are sitting at home. We all read press first thing in the morning when we are at home. So our premise was that if people are spending less time at home and more outside, conventional media is still is assuming that people are at home and trying to reach them at home. So we saw a disconnect. We said if people are moving out, then logically the consumption of traditional media or conventional media at home has come down. And if people are spending more time in these locations, then we sensed an opportunity to go and build a media there. So that's the core logic which we identified, and we said, okay, let's go and grab it. And once we thought about it, there were 4 things that we needed to accomplish. The first was we had to identify places or partners where we could go and put up these screens. And obviously we had to have a value proposition for them. Why would they keep us? The second was, once we have a media, we had to see how we engage people there. Because just putting up LCD TV is not enough, because they say you can take a horse to a pond, but you can't make it drink water. So if there's nothing in it, or if you're showing only ads, then people would not look at it. So we had to come up with a content strategy and see how we develop our source content. Third, we had to see what kind of advertisers would get attracted to this medium and why, what would be the value proposition for them. And fourth, we had to then start thinking about funding, because this was seemingly a high capex business, which we couldn't afford out of our own pockets. So we started focusing on all these 4. And the first one, which is deciding where to put up our screens and convincing them, we went in for a strategy which we now call as the Pied Piper strategy. Don't go by it, it's just a name given by us. But really, we said, okay, we are going to be in hospitality, in the restaurants, in the coffee shops, in the clubs. And we said, okay, we will go after the top names in this category, right? Because if we are able to get the top names, the others will follow. And that really worked for us. So we identified McDonald's. There couldn't have been a better name than that at that time, with a far reach all over. We went in North, there's a chain called Nirula's, which was fairly strong in North. We went after people like TiE, and we really bent head over heels to get them. Whatever was required, we hadn't even put one screen, but through presentations, discussions, we really, almost agreed to whatever they wanted, right? And got started. So we went and put up the screens in these locations. Second was content. And that was challenging because, we had to give a reason to people to turn their heads and not talk to each other, but instead look at the screens. And that's very tough, because you don't go to a restaurant to look at the screens. Even today you don't, right? You go there to meet your friends, have your meal, everything. So we started thinking what content to get in. And while we were looking around, we got our idea or inspiration from newspapers and magazines. Most of the newspapers and magazines have a comic page, a comic section. And a lot of us first go through the comic section and then go to the main page. So we said, wow, this is good. There's something catchy or interesting in that. That's why people are looking at it. So, and then we started studying that and figured out that there were 3 themes that run across a comic page. First is engagement. Things like a crossword or anagrams, or there are 2 pictures, you've got to spot the difference. They engage the readers in some form or fashion. So we picked up that. Second was entertainment. Right? There are these cartoon strips, the Wizard of Oz, whatever else. So we said, okay, we'll pick up that also. So engagement came, entertainment came, and third was education. things like did you know, or things